Welcome to part 2 of my Ubisoft video game retrospective, where I'll be talking a lot about the more recent games as well as some of my very favorites. So without further ado, let's get right into it. With our first game, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which was released on October 23rd, 2015 for the PS4 and Xbox One. This is the latest in the franchise. Of course, it is a series developed and published by Ubisoft. This was the game that brought me back into the series after waning on it for so long. I played it almost entirely through. I did so many side missions, I completed the map, I took over everything. It is a wonderful game. I love Evie and Jacob. I love Evie a little bit more, but the ending is just kind of really bad and kind of dampers the entire thing, but man, it's a wonderful game. Next we have Beyond Good and Evil, released on November 11th, 2003 for the PS2. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This is a game that was teased as a sequel back in 2000 something, 9, 8. There was a teaser CG online. Ubisoft has stated that they are still working on it. They haven't said that they delayed it. Of course, with Final Fantasy 15, things do take a little bit longer sometimes, so the hope still remains. After all, we do have a game similar in that genre and in that time period, which is Psychonauts having a sequel to be determined. Anyway, this is a very unique game from them. I can see why people have been wanting a sequel for such a long time. Next we have Child of Light, which was released on April 29th, 2014 for the PS3, PS4, and Wii U. PC, Xbox 360, and Xbox One released a day later. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This is a game in a similar genre to the Grandia series, a very complicated but simple battle system once you get used to it. It's an RPG, very gorgeous and beautiful. All the dialogue is in rhymes. You're a princess and you died and you're trying to get back to the real world and save your kingdom essentially. You fight monsters, very turn-based, but there's a meter on the bottom that has time that you can disrupt. Basically, monsters can disrupt you can disrupt monsters. It's very cool. Next we have The Crew, released on December 2nd, 2014 for the PS4, PC, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. It was developed in collaboration with Ivory Tower and published by Ubisoft. This is a racing game. You still do the exact same thing you do in the Ubisoft universe, where you find towers. I'm not kidding, you find towers and you open up new areas for things on the map. They advertise that you could drive from one place in the US to the other side of the US. It doesn't take as long as it actually would, of course. It is a unique racing game. I thought it was kind of whatever, but I don't have much to say, and I'm not a really big racing fan at all. Love the name. That is the name of my group of friends, The Crew. I'll get more into that maybe another time. Anyway, next we have Far Cry Primal, which was released on February 23rd, 2016 for the PS4 and Xbox One. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This is the latest in the series, as you would imagine, since this is 2016. I haven't really said anything on it. I do like it. It's not as good as 3 and 4, but it's a lot more fun than I actually thought. It's a gorgeous game. But crafting spears and jabbing mammoths in the butt and animals is pretty cool, as well as being able to ride bears. That is pretty neat. Next we have Grow Home, which was released on February 4th, 2015 for the PC. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. A very small game, a game that a lot of people liked and a lot of people disliked. I disliked it. I thought the gameplay was tremendously bad. It was like having one of those little sticky little spider things that you whack against the wall and it kind of goes off and on. My phone is going off, unprofessional, but just like this game. This game's unprofessional. Okay, let's just move on from there. Next we have Just Dance 2016, which was released on October 20th, 2015 for the PS3, PS4, Wii U, Wii, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. I don't really have much to say on this game. It's a lot of fun. You can just let your freak fly. It is a fun dancing game. It keeps me in shape in some months of the year. In the winter months, not so much. I gotta get out and bike. That is a problem. I need to motivate myself. But it really is a really fun party game. Great music, etc. Next we have Prince of Persia 2008, I should say, which was released on December 2nd, 2008 for the PS3 and Xbox 360. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This was kind of like a reboot of the franchise, and I dug it quite a bit, but there hasn't been a sequel since. There was a sequel tying into the movie, but I don't really count it because it was bad. This is a fantastic paint, cell shading, whatever. You got Nolan North basically being Drake from Uncharted. It is a fantastic game. A lot of people panned it for being kind of too easy because if you fall in a crevice, your partner kind of revives you. But this is a fantastic world. It's kind of a very Flower type thing where it's all about, you know, bringing the Earth back to civilization and its beauty. And I really want to see a sequel to this game very, very, very much. Next we have Rayman Legends, which was released on September 3rd, 2013 for the PC, PS3, Wii U, and Xbox 360. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. Rayman Legend is a very near and dear thing to my heart. Not only is it a fantastic 2D beautiful side-scroller, it was the first ever game I ever received an examiner for review. It is, I want to frame it. I still have the game. Obviously, I'm not selling my review copies. I'm not some sleazy sleazoid. But man, such a good game for my first one. It's just, I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, my review is out there and so much. I've talked about this in numerous different videos. But yeah, just fantastic, fantastic game for both single player and with a party. Next we have Shoot Many Robots, which was released on March 13th, 2012 for the PS3 and Xbox 360, a day later. It was developed by Demiurge Studios and published by Ubisoft. This is a game where robots kind of taken over the planet, at least this junkyard area, and you are shooting robots. It is a fun arcade shooter. I don't think I have to say much more than that. Next we have South Park The Stick of Truth, which was released on March 4th, 2014 for the PS3, PC, and Xbox 360. It was co-developed by Obsidian Entertainment and South Park Digital Studios and published by Ubisoft. This is the best translation from a TV show to a video game ever. Fantastic RPG. I loved it so much. Just one of the best RPGs and one of the funniest games out there. They did so much. They pushed it way beyond the show at some points. They said all they wanted to say, and yet there's a sequel coming out, and I am so looking forward to that. It is a more crass version of Earthbound with Mario RPG. It is just so much fun. It is beyond what anyone expected from a tie-in video game, and just again, I believe I named it my 2014 Game of the Year. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I did. Anyway, next we have Tom Clancys The Division, which was released on March 8th, 2016 for the PC, PS4, and Xbox One. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This is their latest game to have come out in both Ubisoftness and, of course, the Tom Clancy franchise, which has, you know, Splinter Cell, has the Ghost Recon series, it has the Hawks series, tons and tons of games. This is their latest. This is not based off of anything Tom Clancy did, more like a kind of vibe Tom Clancy really has with all of his aspects of the world. Black Friday has come in. I am still working on a review / opinion piece on it. I am digging it a lot. I will kind of save my thoughts for later, but it is a good Destiny-like, and I want more Destiny-likes because I like Destiny, I like The Division. Let's get another D in there. The Divinity, Original Sin. That is that's a game. All right, moving on. We have something way different, which is Valiant Hearts: The Great War, which was released on June 24th, 2014 for the PS3, PS4, and PC 360 and Xbox One a day later. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This is a game that's an adventure game. It takes place in World War I. You have multiple characters, about 4 without spoiling too much, but man, I will say that it is gorgeous, and it is one of the very few games that made me cry. I'm not saying tear up, I am saying outright bawling at the end. It is an emotional game. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. It's so sad. Oh my goodness gracious. Next, speaking of dogs, we have Watch Dogs, or Watch_Dogs, which was released on May 27, 2014 for the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. This was one of the first next-gen, current-gen games out there. Before PS4 and Xbox One were really announced, they were kind of dodging the questions like, yeah, this is based on PS3, why wouldn't it be? And then it turned out to be, you know, next-gen, and that's a big controversy. This is the one that everyone had their eyes on, and it turned out not to be that great. Not only did it not look as good as the first video that really came out, it just turned out to be just a GTA-like game, but not very good. The protagonist is kind of like a douche, and very ambitious. The gimmick of using this phone for both the highway stuff and tracking people is just that, a gimmick, and doesn't really go beyond that. It was okay. And finally, I can't believe we get a Z on here, but we do get a Z, which is Zombie, which was released on November 18th, 2012 for the Wii U. It was a launch game. It was developed and published by Ubisoft. Now this is kind of a spiritual successor to their first game, Zombie, on an old PC, CPC Amstrad, something like that. I have no idea what that is, but that was their first game they made the same year that they were created, in 1986. It is a Dark Souls-ish zombie game. It takes place in London. It is kind of cool. You're just going around London trying to survive. You got a little base. There is some permadeath if you die. Someone kind of takes your place. It is kind of cool. It's kind of really dark, not dark as in ooh, kind of grimy and angsty. I'm talking about like really hard to see. I do like it. It's not exactly perfect, but it's kind of a nice experiment, and that is exactly what Ubisoft is, an experiment. I really think they have blossomed since the last generation and this generation with all these new franchises that everyone loves, and the rebirths from some old franchises and continuations of some other ones. Assassin's Creed, all the Tom Clancy things, Rayman, Just Dance, Prince of Persia, all these things and more. Now, they may not all be winners, but they are willing to take a chance, especially since they are a huge company. They're the ones, more so than Activision and EA, it seems nowadays, that they really are trying to do good and bring forward the gaming industry. Of course, they have sequels upon sequels upon sequels, so they're not perfect, but still, they are trying. And that's more I can say for a lot of companies. So for now, I wish Ubisoft a very, very fond 30th anniversary. Until next time.